I'm talking summer decks today. I want to maybe not wear colour, that's a step too far. It feels like the kind of wilder side of summer. It's potent. I'm open to the woo. I'm working on the woo. I'm letting the woo in. Answers on a postcard, please. Too many decks, too little time. It's not a terrible problem to have. Ooh, this is a mess. Oh, I love me some pink. Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome or welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good. Happy Pride. I know that it's like halfway through the month, but I pre-filmed all of my videos that have gone up so far this month because I was away busy doing things. So this is the first video I filmed during Pride month. So happiest Pride to you. I'm talking summer decks today. I'm talking seasonal Summery decks. The summer solstice is swiftly approaching. At least up here in the Northern Hemisphere. And the weather could catch up, you know. I feel like it's been absurdly wet and rainy and miserable. We have not had any proper hot, gorgeous weather, and I'm mad about it. So hopefully the solstice will actually bring the sun. But yeah, I'm doing Summery decks today. This is the summer installment of my seasonal decks. I did a video like this last year. I've tried not to double up too much, so go watch that one as well if you would like to see some more Summery deck picks. I've divvied these up into three kind of categories. I have got my always summer favorites, I've got my this summer decks I want to work with, and then I've got some oracle decks as well. So I'm going to start with my like perennial favorites. Who are we gonna, okay, so since it's Pride month, the Queer Tarot, obviously. I spoke about this recently in my Pride decks video. I am partway through edging this in like a fluorescent pink to match the pink vibes. But I spoke about this in my Pride decks video, and it's so summery. Like the colours, and also Pride is in June, which is a summery month. Like I say, at least in the Northern Hemisphere it is. And these colors, like these punchy neons, but also, and I talk about this every time I mention this deck, you see the texture of the color, like there's a grain to it, like airbrushed look that makes the colors look a little bit like faded. And then all of these cards with the black background as well. It's like summer nights, summer evenings. It's dark, but the bright punchy colors, it's still warm, you know, and they look kind of sun faded is the thing with that like texture that they've got to them. So I love this deck. It just screams summer. Be using queer decks all year round. I know I do, but Pride is during the summer months, and this is such a delicious, juicy, summery deck. So that is the Queer Tarot. All right, this one I think was also in last year's summer decks video. This is the Trippin Waite Tarot. This is the borderless edition. I did these horrid purple edges, and I don't know if you can see, but like here I'm going over them again with this like pink sparkly color, which I think is making them look a little bit more even. I'm in like, I've got another deck here that also I'm halfway through edging. I'm in like a deck edging phase at the minute, but you know, why would I do one at a time when I could start like 4 different decks? Anyhow, this is the Trippin Waite Tarot Borderless Edition from Tarot Collectibles. This was my first Tarot Collectibles deck. I don't know, I opened the floodgates, I guess. It got me hooked on their decks. They're so fun. They do a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith clones, and they do quite a few actually in this like trippy, groovy styling. Have I had that tilted so that it's caught the glare this whole time? I am sorry. It's just beautiful. And again, the colours are so punchy and bright and just scream summer. This is kind of a haunting sun card, don't we think? But yeah, like, come on. It's so summer. It's like summer of love. It's groovy, it's fun, it's colourful. I'm just flipping through because I like it. And then we've got Dalmatians in the 10 of coins, which I really like. So that is the Trippin Waite Tarot del Fuego. I feel like this is such an obvious choice as a summery deck that it kind of doesn't need saying. But maybe that's just me, because I could totally see this as like an autumny deck as well. Not that a deck should be confined to just one season, you know. But this is so summery. It's the fire. I'm like summer, hot, fire. I think the wands, aka the fire suit, is also usually associated with the summer season. Don't quote me on that. I don't really care for assigning the elements to a season or vice versa. That's just not something I've got up to in my practice or have really considered. It's so freaking cool. Like all the details. It's a beautiful deck. There was another card with loads of eyes in a cave. 5 of Swords and the Knave of Wands. Like you could definitely like tell yourself a story. Like which one came first? Fun. Anyhow, yeah, the Tarot del Fuego. I think this was also in last year's Summer Decks video, so I won't linger on it too long. But like it's so bright, it's so fun, it's so colorful. It's got quite a, how have I described this deck before? It's got a lot of energy to it, it's got a lot of movement, it's kind of got like chariot energy, which is Cancer, which is a summer season, so you know that works. But it's got like, you know, we're moving, we're going, fire. You know, you've either got to control the burn or it burns out of control, like the spread of fire. Like that feels kind of like summer energy. Summer to me is often very hectic. I don't do well with a lot of social occasions, okay? And it's like long days and it's a lot of like get up and go. I try and make the most of the nice weather in the summer and like be outside as much as possible, get as much daylight as I possibly can. So there's a lot of just like go and we'll figure the rest out later. Like that's kind of my mentality in a lot of the summer. I'm like, I just want to do the things and push through the things that are a bit uncomfy, like lots of socializing and not a lot of sleep. Yeah, did that make any sense? I don't know, but it matches that kind of energy. Like it's a little bit frenzied almost, which I feel like can definitely be a bit of a summer vibe. It's like you go from work out to drinks and then before you know it, it's like 10 p.m. and you're still out at the pub. And then you decide, you know, it's a lot. I do a lot of moving in the summer. So that's the whole deck. Tarot del Fuego. Can't decide whether to trim this and take the white borders off or whether it needs that white space as a bit of like a visual separation. I'm not sure. Answers on a postcard, please. All right, and then the last one that's like an every summer favorite. This is the Morgan Greer. And truth be told, this is an all year round favorite. It's just one of my favorite go-to decks, but it absolutely sings in the summertime. I'm thinking of like the bold blue skies and the blue ocean and just how like it looks like a clear blue summer sky, you know? And like this Ace of Pentacles. Oh, it looks like a holiday. Like it looks like holidays. This one, I will happily use this all year round because I love it a lot. It's like I say, one of my favorite decks, one of my favorite readers, but it is just something special in the summertime. And that is the Morgan Greer. All right, so next up, I've got my decks that I'm thinking of for this summer. And this is the Witch Sister Tarot, which I'm also halfway through edging. I did it in this like horrid pink that I don't like. And then I was like, oh, I'll go over it with a copper. But the copper is just showing up with the metallic, so it kind of looks like rose gold, which is not the vibe that I wanted. So I'm not sure where I'm going with edging this deck, but this is a summer deck for me, at least this year, because of the colors. Okay, this one, kind of this one, like this, like these punchy colors. I feel like I'm definitely going to really feel this in autumn too, but like, come on, where are the ones that I like? The Fool. They feel like they've got really big like thunderstorm energy, like, you know, when like this, the Land, which is the replacement for the World card, or how she's renamed the World card. Like I feel like there's a thunderstorm brewing in the artwork of so many of these cards, and especially this kind of bright olivey green, and then like this bright olivey green, and then the purples. 7 of Skies, there's a thunderstorm in the air. It's, oh god, this strength card is just stunning. Do you get what I mean? Like it's saturated. It's saturated in color, and the energy to it is like kind of pre thunderstorm energy, when the, you know, the sky is so saturated and it's so humid you can barely move. Like that's what this deck feels like. It's potent. I am studying this deck at the minute. Theoretically, I've been busy. I came back from the Netherlands like 3 days ago. So I've actually not touched this deck in 2 weeks or more, but theoretically I'm studying this deck at the moment. And I think it's gonna be fantastic, just generally, but I'm really feeling it as that like summer energy. Like, do you see like the facial expressions? And you know, I'm not usually one for like very expressive faces in a deck, but these don't look like your average portraits in a deck. There's so much like energy and so much like under the surface of this deck. It feels like the kind of wilder side of summer. Let me know if you agree with me. I know lots of people have got this deck recently because it only came out, I don't know, 6 months ago. Oh, like, come on. The Skies suit in particular. So Skies is the air suit. And if I'm right, I feel like swords are usually associated with the winter. The Skies suit in particular is feeling very like angry summer weather. I don't know, I love it. There's a lot of energy in this deck. The hair, the movement. I don't feel like these are portraits of people in the same way that a lot of decks are. I feel like these are energies in human form. Like there was a Selkie somewhere in here. 8 of Waters, this is a Selkie, which is not an energy in a human form, but it's got that kind of vibe, you know? So that is the... I'm gonna stop. This is the Witch Sister. All right, the next deck is not super duper summery, but it's not summery. This is the Goddess of Love Tarot, which is kind of on this list just because I'm so obsessed with it right now. This was my Taurus season deck. I read the whole guidebook cover to cover and like highlighted and like made notes in the margins. I have since downloaded and started reading Sacred Sex by Gabriella Herstick, who was the creator of this deck, and I'm just really into it. And it's not summery aesthetically, like it definitely fits. We've got a lot of beautiful, bright, warm colors, and I think it definitely works with summer. And also I feel like the vibe of like sex magic works with Beltane, which is the Sabbath for summer. And it's like all a very sexy, fiery, energetic kind of celebration. I do not observe the Sabbats or the Wheel of the Year particularly, so forgive me if I get details wrong, but you know, I feel like it fits that vibe. Very fiery, sexy energy, and I feel like that definitely fits in a completely different way to the like thunderstormy energy of the Witch Sister. A similar energy in different fonts. Like this is that kind of abundance of energy that we get with the summer, and either someone is trying to break into my flat or people are just being noisy in the hallway. It's hard to say. Yes, it's like an abundance of energy. It's an abundance of heat. We're literally physically closer to the sun, you know, all of that. And I feel like it comes out in these decks in different ways, but they've got that similar kind of, not overwhelming, that's not quite the word, but they're both spilling over with energy. So, and I think this deck is really beautiful. I still have yet to trim it. I'm so torn. I was gonna just do like a trim half the border off, but then I saw Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot. I think she did a recent roundup kind of thing, and she had trimmed the borders off completely, and I actually really liked how it looked. But I worry that I also might regret it if I trim the borders off completely. Who can say what I'm going to do? But I definitely do want to trim it in some capacity. I think there's just too much red, a little bit too aggressive. But then maybe it kind of needs that aggressive red border. Maybe that's where a lot of that like almost overpowering energy is coming from. And if I trim the border off, maybe it would lose that. I don't know. Goddess of Love. So as mentioned when I was discussing the queer tarot, I have a thing for like hot summer nights, and maybe that's because I live in the UK where usually the sun goes down, it gets cool pretty quick, so maybe it's like a little bit of a fantasy that I have of like summery nights. But either way, I have 2 decks that kind of fit that vibe, and so are summer decks to me, and that is the Raven's Dream Tarot and Tarot of a Moon Garden. I'm going to flip through this one first for no actual reason. Ooh, this is a mess. This is a newer deck in my collection. This is the new reprint that has the borders chopped and this divine metallic purple edging. I did a playing with pairs video recently that featured this deck because I wanted to have a play, and I haven't really read with this a whole bunch yet, but I have been kind of playing around with it, enjoying it so far, enjoying the vibes. Visually, this is a summer nights deck. Like it's nighttime, we've got that black sky, and then all these beautiful bright colors. Like it feels like what I want summer nights to be. Like it's dark, it's nighttime, but it's still very alive, which is not the feeling I get in the dark in the winter when I just want to hibernate. And I think a lot of us just want to curl up, stay inside, hibernate, whereas this is outdoors in the nighttime and it's all very colorful and beautiful and lively. I will say in reading, this has a much more kind of gentle, magical, almost a little bit like whimsical energy. Like it's a much more supportive kind of deck than, for instance, the Witch Sister or the Goddess of Love. There's a lot of energy in those decks and they're not very subtle. Whereas this is much more likely to give a kind of nurturing reading than either of those two. So Tarot of a Moon Garden. And then the Raven's Dream Tarot is my other summery night kind of a deck. I told you I was on a deck edging kick. I recently edged this one in this turquoise. It definitely needs a second layer, but I just love how it looks. I matched the turquoise of the kind of borders here, I think, quite well. This, again, Summer Nights. Oh god, that Ten of Swords is it's a Ten of Swords, all right. It's dreamy, but it's a little bit closer to like a nightmare, maybe. Not a nightmare, but just it's got that uncertain, confused kind of feeling to it. Like when you're in a dream, but you don't know that you're in a dream, but it's just like nothing makes sense. that was a terrible explanation. I'm sure there's a word for like disoriented. That's the word, Sylvie. It's got a much more like disoriented, dreamy feeling than, like, I suppose you could describe the Moon Garden as dreamy in a much like softer, sweeter way. This is dreamy and disorienting. There's that. But again, visually, it's nighttime. It's beautiful, beautiful colors, this gorgeous turquoise edging. It's not nighttime in all the decks. You dream at night, but you're not always dreaming of the night. But regardless, a lot of the cards are nighttime. There's a lot of moons. And again, it's that same like bright colors, but there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of stuff happening. They're outside, living their life, enjoying the warm evenings. They're not underground hibernating. I love the aces in this deck. They're so gorgeous. I've got a full walkthrough of this deck up on the channel. So I will spare you all of the oohing and ahhing in this one. But yes, this is, again, a summer nights kind of deck, but like opposite end of the spectrum to the Moon Garden Tarot. And I think this is going to be really fun to read with this summer. Finally, for the tarot decks, I've got the Zeke's Arcana, which I need to store better because I've just realized that it's getting sun faded where I had something else on top of it. Talk about gorgeous edging. This is in a competition with the Moon Garden for like my favorite edging because I love me some pink. This deck is a summary deck purely for the colors, purely for the bright poppy colors. I'm sure I'm not the only one who in the winter, I'm very happy to have like my neutrals, my muted colors. I want everything to feel like I am curled up by a fire. Whereas in the summer, I'm like, yes, blue sky. I want to maybe not wear color. That's a step too far, but like maybe wear colorful eyeshadow. And like there's all these gorgeous blue skies in this deck as well, like here in the wands. And it's just fun. It's experimental. And I feel like that fits the summer more than any other season. There's really not much more thought to this one. I'm just like, yeah, that's a summer image right there. The colors, it's the general kind of energy of the deck. So that is the Zeke's Arcana. Who got left behind? The Star. We can't leave hope behind. All right, so as promised, I also have a few oracle decks. And who is this? This is the Tantric Dakini. The Fire of Sacrifice is the card sitting on top here. And my reason for pulling this deck as a summer deck is because I want an oracle deck that is embodying, associated with something like that. Well, I'd like one for each of the elements, but when I was thinking about summer decks, I was like, I want a fire, hot oracle deck. There's many on my wish list, don't get me wrong, but of the ones I own, I'm like, this is the closest thing I've got. And then, of course, I open it up and Fire of Sacrifice is sitting on the top. So, and the last laugh. But yeah, it feels summery. It's also, I think, the kind of like vintagey, low res images that are used in the collage. There's something about summer that is more nostalgic to me than any other season. And so the fact that this is an older deck, I think, and the images that are used for the collage are definitely older, that also fits, which is probably a very personal association. I couldn't even really tell you why summer feels more nostalgic than any other season, but there we have it. I think that's probably all I have to say about this deck. So that is the Tantric Dakini. This is one I want to work with, especially this summer, but I think just has summery vibes in general. This comes with a big guidebook, which I really want to do some studying. I bloody love this card. The Rose Garden, gorgeous. I do want to do like a bit of a study or some more in-depth work with this deck, really kind of dig into the guidebook. I want to do that for all my decks, you know. Too many decks, too little time. It's not a terrible problem to have. But yeah, the Tantric Dakini. The Secret Language of Color cards is my second Summery Oracle deck. These are the most annoying, glossiest cardstock. Why is this a summer deck? Again, it just comes down to color, which is the whole point of this deck. But like a lot of them are like flowers, or here we've got trees. Apricot is a flower. Watermelon is it's a flower. It's a fruit. That beautiful. It's absolutely throwing my white balance off, but that beautiful, beautiful ocean. Yeah, it's a lot of, I don't know what to tell you. It just feels like summer. Again, there's a lot more color in the warmer seasons, just in the natural world, than there is in, you know, the autumn is all like brown, and then everything's dead in the winter, dead and grey. So there's just a lot more color in the summer. And that's basically it. This was not a very complex pick. And I think I would like to do some more intentional work with this deck and some more intentional work with colors in general. This was sparked by it was either I did a video about getting to know the Wild Unknown Archetypes Oracle, and then I also did a Playing with Pairs in which I featured the Archetypes Oracle, and that would be where I paired it with this deck. But my point being, the Archetypes Oracle has me wanting to kind of intentionally work with the color that is in the cards more. So like whenever I do pull a reading, like I just feel like I want to be looking at the color more, you know? And so therefore, this is a summary deck. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Pink. This also has a whole guidebook that I've definitely flicked through and read parts of when I got this deck, but that was bloomin' ages ago. Definitely deserves revisiting. Okay, finally, the Animal Apothecary Oracle. One of my favorites, Oracle decks in my collection, and it will surprise nobody that it's the colors that makes this a summery deck to me. There is no other reason why it should be summer more than any other season. Lots of different animals. I suppose maybe some of them hibernate during. I don't like the artwork on this card. I'm tempted to like separate it from the rest of the deck. I don't know why. I just think it doesn't fit. Anyhow, I suppose some animals hibernate in the winter or like travel south if they're birds or whatever. But you know, a lot of these animals are out and about all the year round. But it's just the colors. And also I think in the summer when my mental health is better because I only have the regular depression, not the seasonal depression, I am more not susceptible. I am more open to a lot of these kind of affirmation-y type messages, which this deck is definitely closer to that than most of my other Oracle decks. As a rule, I'm not one for affirmations. I'm not one for like, everything is okay and just trust in your destiny. Like, that's not really my vibe. But in the summer, when I'm generally feeling more positive and less cynical, I am more open, like surrender to receive. Like, what does that even mean? It does get a little bit woo, which, you know, I'm open to the woo. I'm working on the woo. I'm letting the woo in. It's definitely easier for me to do that in the summertime. So maybe that's the other reason. And again, that's probably a very personal reason why this would be a summery deck for me. But regardless, that is the Animal Apothecary, and that is my final deck that I had to show you in this video. Okay, so that was everybody. That was all of my summary decks that I wanted to share with you. I'm keeping all of these out. I'm hoping to work with them all over the summer, which, you know, I'm sure I will do because I tend to jump about between decks. Having said that, I have like a bit more of a dedicated practice going for the Witch Sister. I wanted to do some study of the Tantric Dakini, and I kind of want to work with this one a little bit more intensely, but you know, I like to set myself many plans and then I can pick and choose the ones I want to actually proceed with. Anyhow, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite summery decks are if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. I do have a wintry decks video, which I will link. I will let you go. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Give me a like if you liked it and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.